Hey there, tech fans. Rick here again with another gadget from the Drone Valley team that I think you're going to find pretty cool. It's a magnetic pocket floodlight that uses a brand new technology called COB, which stands for chip on board, to produce a tremendous amount of light in this tiny little package. Now, if you've never heard of this technology before, I'll explain how it works in a minute, but it's essentially the latest evolution in lighting products, and it's really changing the business because it produces so much light and it's so efficient that you're going to start seeing a lot of products coming out with this technology. Now, you're probably thinking, Rick, how exciting can a pocket floodlight be? I mean, flashlights have been around since the beginning of time, but when I think about my history of flashlights, so much has changed because I go way back to my first flashlight when I was a little guy, which was basically a plastic tube that had an incandescent bulb on the front of it. You slid a couple of D cells in it, hit a switch, and off into the night I went for my adventures. And it worked pretty well. The challenge with those early flashlights was that the incandescent bulb is a terribly inefficient way to generate light because essentially what you're doing is taking the filament inside that bulb, shorting out the batteries to the point where the filament gets white hot and that generates the light. Now that's a problem for two reasons. Number one, you're killing the batteries because it's drawing so much power, you're essentially shorting the batteries out, so you're going to go through a lot of batteries. The second problem, which is even bigger issue for me, was that because of that filament, when it got white hot, was extremely fragile. So if you ever drop that flashlight on the sidewalk or the road, pretty good chance you're going to break that filament and have to replace the bulb. Now with my folks, I got a bulb, maybe I got a second bulb. By the time I broke the third bulb, it ended up in a box in the back of my closet. So it wasn't a great solution long term for me, but it worked pretty well. And there are still companies today that produce those type of incandescent flashlights. They've improved the bulbs, they've made the filaments a little bit more durable, but they're still not terribly efficient. So the next big evolution in my life and with flashlights came from the invention of the LED technology, which got commercialized in flashlights, I don't know, 20, 25 years ago. And it worked pretty well, and it was much more efficient than incandescent bulbs. It allowed you to have pretty good light, and it was really durable. You could drop it and not have to worry about the bulb going out. The challenge with the early LEDs, though, was that the lighting was not that good. It was kind of hinky. It was really kind of dim and it was blue, and even though it lit up an area, it didn't do a great job. And if you moved from an incandescent to an LED in the early days, you were disappointed with it. They did improve that, so they've gotten much better with the efficiency of LED bulbs. They started putting a couple of LEDs, maybe 3, then 6, maybe 9, inside of one flashlight, which gave it a lot more light that it could actually focus out the front. So LED flashlights are pretty common today. A lot of people use them and they work pretty well. The next big evolution came a couple of years ago with the invention of Cree technology. Now, Cree is an insanely bright type of technology. And when you find a Cree flashlight, they typically have a focusing lens on the front that allows you to widen the beam or shorten the beam to sort of focus in on a section. And they work really well in addition to being very durable. But the challenge with all of the flashlights I've talked about, whether it's incandescent, LED, or Cree, is the fact that fundamentally a flashlight is designed to take whatever the lighting element is, whether it's incandescent, LED, or Cree, use a reflector in the back and a specialized lens in the front that work together to create this really narrow beam of very bright light. So what you're trying to do with a flashlight is take all that energy and focus into a point where when I point this at the ground, I've got really intense light inside that cone. The problem with that, though, is if I'm out in the field, maybe it's good for spotting something I've dropped in the grass or looking up in the tree to see something up in the tree. But if I'm walking along a path and it's pitch dark, I've got to kind of sweep this back and forth across the path because I'm going to trip over something because it doesn't create a lot of light to either side. There's very little peripheral casting of the light, so to speak, on either side of your path. So you've got to kind of move it around. So for me, even though I've had tons of flashlights in my day and probably hundreds of flashlights because I'm a nerd and I test everything, I got frustrated because it didn't cast a wide enough light. Now some are better than others where you can widen the beam, but at best I think my field of view is maybe be 15 degrees or 20 degrees, which meant I got about this much light in front of me, and that wasn't what I was looking for. So I've been watching the COB technology for quite a long time. It's been out for a couple of years, and we just decided we're going to put our own flashlight together. So what you're looking at here is the culmination of months of work to sort of build this technology, because the difference between this type of flashlight and this COB strip is that the COB strip, instead of being a single LED or a group of LEDs that are all individual points of light that you're sort of forcing into a cone with that focusing element, a COB like this is one big LED. So it's called a chip on board because the technology that creates that LED, which is a PN junction, not to get too nerdy, but it's a PN junction that you're running electricity through. You've got holes and you've got electrons hitting each other and generating a photon. All that's happening on that strip. So the strip itself, the whole strip, is like one big LED. Now the benefit there is it's insanely efficient. The second big benefit is that instead of it casting this narrow beam of light that's going to hit a quarter on the ground, this casts a very wide grouping of light in front of you. So when I turn this thing on, and I'll show you outside in a minute, a side-by-side comparison with this and this, you'll notice that this creates a great little dot of light on the ground and it's really bright. This one creates a very wide spectrum of light across the entire field. It's consistent, it's bright, and it's got an insanely wide field of view. It's like 140 degrees. So when I turn this thing on and I'm standing in a dark field, it can be pitch black. The minute I turn it on, I can see everything all the way to my peripheral edge. So I can see things moving over here, things moving over there. If I turn the light, it's going to follow me. So it's a floodlight, and that's why we're calling it a floodlight, because unlike a flashlight that has that pinpoint accuracy, this is a broad spectrum of light that's thrown out in front of you. Now, there are differences with this light. We really sweated over the details. I mean, there's a lot of companies that are building these. You're going to see them all over. They'll probably hit the Christmas catalogs coming out because it's a pretty new technology. But we spent a lot of time with our manufacturing companies, making sure that we built the one that we would use ourselves. We've been testing it for a couple of months, and this thing's fantastic. So some of the differences, and I'll do a close-up in a minute to show you a little better view of it, but some of the major differences start with the COB strip inside. Now, a lot of the lights out there have a COB strip. It might look like this, but this is a 300 lumen light, which is very bright for a COB strip. A lot of the lights on the market today have 150, 200 lumens, 250 lumens. So if you're looking at another light, you want to make sure you check those lumens to see if it's as bright as it can be. 300 lumens is pretty bright for a light. We've also changed the plastic on the front. A lot of the lights out there use a very cheap plastic, which scratches really easy. It turns yellow over time because this does get a little hot inside, and that'll eventually turn the lensing yellow. This one isn't. It's a high quality plastic, acrylic actually, that is made to handle that extra light. It doesn't scratch, it doesn't crack. You can drop it on its front, it's going to be fine. We made the base and body out of aluminum, so it's lightweight, but it's incredibly durable. The minute you get this in your hands, you're going to feel a quality product. We also added a lot of mounting points. So for example, on the bottom, we've got a really heavy duty magnet down there that'll stick to any piece of metal you've got. We've also got a magnet on the back, so you can use this anywhere you've got metal, because a lot of times you're going to want to work and have this floodlight above you, and you don't want to have somebody have to hold this while you're working. So just think for a second, if you break down on the side of the road, heaven forbid, and you've got to change a tire, well, you got a flashlight, that's great, but what do? Tuck it under your arm or hold it on your neck? Like, how do you do it? You got to have a second person to hold a flashlight while you're changing the tire, because the nuts are going to go screwing all over the place. So with this one, if this is the side of your car, stick it on your car, turn it on, it'll flood that ground with plenty of light. Maybe you want to keep one in your kitchen because you have a power failure, you just want to have a flashlight handy. The magnet on the back will hold on to a refrigerator really nice. It'll always be where you know it is, and you'll be able to get a hold of it. We also built in a clip on the back, which makes it extremely versatile when you're outside. So when I'm outside walking in a dark path, I can put it on my jacket, I can clip it to my belt. If I've got a backpack on, I can clip it to the strip there. So it's really built to be incredibly versatile. The button on top turns it on. It's only on or off, but it's got a rubberized button. So when you're outside, if your fingers, you got gloves on, it's really easy to find that button. So we built this thing to be what we feel to be the perfect flashlight or perfect floodlight. And again, it's the one I'm using all the time because we start with these products, all of us use technology. We start with the foundational understanding of what we want to build and why we want to build something different than other people are using today. And this is really the culmination of those efforts. Now, if you stay tuned, I'm going to do some close-ups of the product next to show you all the details and the finer things that are built into this technology. Then I'll go outside and I'll do some side-by-side comparisons with the regular flashlight and the new pocket floodlight. And I'll give you some examples of how I use it out in the field. Then I'll come back at the end and do some conclusions about really what separates this technology and this flashlight in particular from all the other products on the market today. So stay tuned and I'll take a closer look next. Now we'll take a closer look at the magnetic pocket floodlight and I'll point out some of its key features. The case of the product is made from aluminum, which means it's going to be very durable and also very lightweight. On the top of the unit, there's a rubberized switch which turns on the COB light on the front. On the bottom is a heavy-duty magnet that can be used to adhere the light to any metal surface. On the rear, there's a heavy-duty clip that also has a magnet included. So again, you can stick it to a metal surface back there. This clip also swivels, which allows you to change the position of the way the light is facing. And that's really important if you're hanging it off a belt or a pocket, because you may clip it on your pocket and have to swivel it a little bit to keep it out in front of you. On the front of the unit is the actual COB strip right here, and it's encased in this plastic enclosure to make sure that nothing's going to scratch up that strip. That's a 300 lumen strip inside there, which means it's incredibly bright. On the bottom of the unit is where you add the batteries. You can basically unscrew this cap. The batteries slide in from here, and there are 3 AAA batteries, and that's all the power you'll need, and you get quite a few hours of use out of this technology with just 3 batteries. We've got our logo on the bottom here, and that's pretty much all you need to know. And again, what's really different about this product is the fact that we built in the heavy-duty magnet, the clip on the back that swivels, the magnet in the clip, and the important thing, again, is the 300 lumen light strip inside there, which is much brighter than most of the other products on the market today. The pocket floodlight is an incredibly versatile product with a ton of different mounting options. Between the heavy-duty magnet on the bottom, the magnet along the back, and the clip itself, you can stick this thing almost everywhere. Some of the places I use it when I'm out in the field, for example, if I'm walking on a trail and it's getting a little bit dark and I need some illumination in front of me, I'll turn it on, stick it on my pocket, and that'll throw all that light out in front of me and I can see things to either side. If the trail's a little bit overgrown with roots or maybe there's rocks and things that I'm worried about tripping on, I'll actually move it to my pocket. That'll take the light and throw it down a little closer to the ground and really brighten things up for me so I can avoid those rocks and tripping out in the field. The magnets are really handy as well, because if I'm keeping one in my car and heaven forbid I have a flat tire, I can get outside, turn it on, stick it to the side of my car and have it illuminate the tire and all the work area down the bottom there, so you never have to worry about those lug nuts rolling off into the darkness. It's also great if you're working inside your engine compartment, because the magnet on the back or the clip, you can clip it on a wire on your hood or maybe stick it to the magnet on the hood and it'll throw a lot of light down right in the work area where you can see what you're doing. Another place I use it, and it's a little bit awkward but it works pretty well, is to clip it to my hat and actually have it face down. Now the challenge with it to the hat, number one, it looks pretty goofy, but more importantly, it does throw a little bit of light your direction, but if you're working on something really close like this, it can give you a lot of light straight down to actually work on that product and have your hands free. So I'm sure I haven't covered all of the ways you can mount this to something, but those are some of the ways that I use it on a regular basis, and it's just an incredibly handy light that throws an awful lot of illumination. Now I'll show you a side-by-side comparison between a standard flashlight and the new pocket floodlight. And for this test, I'm in a pitch dark field in the middle of the night to try and make this as realistic as possible. So first, here's the flashlight. Now the minute I turn that on, you'll notice the beam is incredibly focused inside that circle. And that's exactly what a flashlight's designed to do, is to take the light energy being generated by the bulb or grouping of bulbs inside the housing, and between the reflector behind those bulbs and the specialized lensing in front of them, it's to shape that actual beam into a nice little cone shape to give you the brightest light possible in the center of that circle. And that's great if you're looking for something on the ground that you've dropped, or if you're walking along a straight path, it makes it really easy for you to light your way. The challenge is, because of that focusing element, it doesn't throw a lot of light peripherally to either side. So if I look to the left or the right of that beam, if I go 6 feet off the center of that beam, it's totally dark. I can't see anything out there. And that can be a problem if you're out in the field looking for a trail marker or some kind of landmark, or even if you're walking along a path that's not quite level, you've got to constantly sweep that beam back and forth to make sure you can see everything in front of you. Now the pocket floodlight's designed to be different in two ways. First, we're using a COB strip, which is a much more even illumination, and it doesn't have a focus point like the flashlights do typically. The other thing is, it's got an extremely wide field of view. So when I turn on the pocket floodlight, you can see immediately how wide a beam I'm generating. That's about 130 degrees field of view, which means no matter where I'm looking, I have no blind spots to my periphery. I can see all the way to the left, all the way to the right. And if I'm guessing in size, I'm saying left, probably 35 feet, same to the right, and maybe 50 feet in front of me. And as I sweep this across the field, you can see that beam follows me. So it gives you plenty of light in front of you that if you clip it to your belt and you're walking on a path, you'll see exactly what's in front of you. The other thing that's nice is if I'm working on a project, maybe I've got to change a tire, because of the magnetics on the bottom and the back, I can actually stick this to the side of the car, turn it on, and have my hands free to do the work. And it's casting a perfectly even beam across that workspace, so there's no light spots or dark spots, there's no shadows. So it just makes it really easy to see what you're working on. And if you're out in the field looking for something, you can bend down and actually pinpoint it. But the big advantage is it casts this really nice, wide, even light across your field of view, front and both sides, to give you just perfect illumination in front of you. Another place where the magnetic pocket floodlight comes in really handy is if you're stuck changing a tire on a really dark road. Now, any standard flashlight, you can use that to cast light down towards the tire, but the challenge is, how do you hold the flashlight and change the tire at the same time? Because we've built this powerful magnet in the bottom, you can just stick this pocket floodlight on the side of your car. It'll cast a lot of light down here so you can do the work you need to do. You don't have to worry about the lug nuts rolling off into the darkness. And when you're finished, you just take it off the car, turn it off, and be on your way. I hope those examples help to show you just how versatile this magnetic pocket floodlight really is. We've spent quite a bit of time designing what we think is the perfect portable lighting solution for any situation, and we're really proud of it. If you have any questions at all about the floodlight itself or the COB technology that it's based on, please drop those questions in the comments below, and I promise to get back to you as quickly as I can. I've got a link below where you can go to our website if you want to support the channel and purchase the Drone Valley magnetic pocket floodlight from us. Now again, you're going to probably see a lot of flashlights out there on the market that look like this one, but this is a Drone Valley product, and it means we're going to stand behind it. If you have questions later on or any kind of issues with the product, we'll be here to take care of those for you. So thanks an awful lot for watching, and until next time, stay nerdy.